Good evening and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Business. As always, you can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and on Amazon Fire TV. You can listen to us on the PHLV radio app or get our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Another exciting episode tonight. We are going to continue our theme of what resources are available for small businesses from the state. But before we get to that, let's talk about government contracting for a little bit. Government contracting has long been a source of revenue for all businesses, from small to large. They generate billions in revenue for various vendors and truly help with local economies. We have a great example here in Las Vegas. We've got the Nellis Air Force Base. So here are some of the benefits of government contracting. There's steady and reliable revenue. These contracts can be very stable and really provide a great source of income for a small business. You get access to a large market. You got to remember the state, federal, these are huge businesses and they're one of the biggest buyers of goods and services. So basically you're tapping into one of the biggest markets that you have out there. It gives you a competitive edge. Becoming certified and having the experience can truly give you an edge. It builds your credibility. You have to be vetted. You have to be trustworthy. You have to be a good business to work with the government. So it really helps with your reputation. And then there's opportunities for growth. The larger orders you get, the more service that you get, the more reliable you become a vendor, then of course there's more opportunities for you. And then of course, long-term relationship. If you do a good job, here it is. The government's not going anywhere. So as long as you're doing well, you have a steady stream, you have a steady contract. Now, of course, opposite side, there are always challenges in government contracting. Number one, competition. There's a lot of small businesses that would love to do the same thing. Compliance requirements. Of course, being in the government, they're a lot more stringent when it comes to what's required of you, especially reporting. So need to be detail-oriented and no shortcuts. Sometimes delayed payments, and it can create cash flow challenges. Risk of protests and disputes. Again, a lot of small businesses want to be in so they can question the process, maybe question why you were the one picked. And then, of course, for some businesses, sometimes they tend to put all of their eggs in one basket. So saturation or dependency on this one market. And then lastly, we've got the lengthy and complex process to get started. Small businesses do not know how to get started with government contracting, who to contact, what does it entail, what kind of certifications do I need. Luckily, we have an agency that can help with this. And it's a perfect segue for our guest for tonight. So let's take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to bring in our tonight's guest. So let's take a quick break.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
All right, welcome back. So my guest tonight is another friend whom I have worked with for a while now. She is another huge supporter of small businesses in the community. She is the director of Nevada's APEX Accelerator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend Joan Reuben. Joan, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much, Sonny, for having me.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure is ours. Thank you for coming in. So let's start with this. You ran PTAC, or formerly the Nevada Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It has transformed to the Nevada APEX Accelerator. Please tell our audience, what does Nevada APEX Accelerator do and how does it help small businesses?
Yeah, so the Nevada APEX Accelerator, we're actually part of a nationwide network of APEX accelerators. So typically each state will have at least one APEX accelerator. For Nevada, we actually have one, which is the statewide APEX Accelerator, where we have two offices, one in Carson City and one in here in Las Vegas. And it is our goal, based on having a stream of federal funding and state funding, to actually help Nevada businesses, I should say for-profit businesses, pursue local government, state government, federal government contracts, and subcontracts with the government's prime contractors. And so we've been around actually since the 1980s.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially Nevada citizens, don't even know this type of resource that exists in
Yeah.
the community.
Yeah.
And so we've been helping a number of businesses, again, any for-profit business, but it's really the small businesses who are actually using our taxpayer funded and free services. So there's no charge for our services as businesses get to meet with, for example, our number of counselors that will actually meet one-on-one with the business owners or the business's representatives to talk about targeting, for example, what types of agencies or prime contractors buy the goods and services, say, for example, that a company might sell. And we have to remember the government will buy anything from, think about anything from a paperclip all the way to complex research and development, aeronautical space services. So there's such a wide range of goods and services
it's true.
that agencies buy. And I know that Nevada businesses have so much to offer.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't, but that doesn't come to your mind immediately. And I had the pleasure of being in it's actually a larger business with Joan recently, and she just went and talked about, they didn't even know how to start the process of government contracting. But here comes Joan and starts telling them about it, which is fantastic.
And what I love about the APEX Accelerator's former PTACs, again, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, that is basically what our counselors specialize in. It's providing that procurement technical assistance. A lot of businesses don't even know that the public sector or the government, agencies and the prime contractors, they are a perfect business market as businesses look to sell, again, anything, paper clips, promotional items such as pens, paper pads, shirts, what have you, all the way to maybe janitorial services, or even, for example, science, technology, engineering, math, data analytics services. I mean, the government at every level really buys, a wide variety of goods and services. And I really don't think that businesses take advantage of diversifying their own business portfolios to be selling into the public sector. They might be so reliant on these private sector businesses and contracts where this public sector, arena is so lucrative that I have seen business, especially astute business owners, be able to be successful in government contracting, but also provide generational wealth for the next generations, as those next generations and their children might take up that family business.
I bet. The Nevada APEX Accelerator continues to be housed at the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development, GOED, as we love to say. How does APEX Accelerator fit in the small business ecosystem?
Yeah, so we are part of I want to say a statewide resource partner-based community and ecosystem where we want to see small businesses and the small business community thrive. I mean, with, my being, Asian American Pacific Islander, as a Filipina, we always want to make sure that many businesses, especially those who might be underserved or even just marginalized, know about government contracting and the resources that are available. So I know from my perspective, I want to make sure that APEX Accelerator is known in the community. Because when businesses know and see about APEX Accelerator, they know that there's a resource for them to help them, again, understand the different agencies, whether it's City of Las Vegas, it could be City of Henderson, City of Reno, City of Fallon, it could be Clark County, Washoe County, it could be, we talked about Nellis Air Force Base. what about Creature Force Base?
That's right.
And even, for example, the Naval Air Station at Fallon. I mean, there's so many local, state, federal government agencies that businesses don't know, how do I even go about doing business with these respective agencies? And so we, as the APEX Accelerator and the team of professionals, can really help. We have a number of former contracting officers, contract specialists with the government that is actually here to counsel and guide businesses. And we want, the businesses to know about us, make sure they check out like our website to actually find out how to become registered.
Perfect. And we'll definitely show that website in a bit. Now, many businesses would like to sell their services and products to the government. And you touched on this a little bit. Now, they do not know where to begin. Give me a little bit more detail on how Apex Accelerator can help. Of course, you're telling them about it, and they're going to meet with counselors, but what do they learn from them? Yeah.
Right. So what's so nice about once a company actually registers for the program, so they get considered for the program, and say the business gets accepted, and they basically will have completed like a client questionnaire form. Once that's done, a new client orientation would actually be set up between one of our advisors and the business CEO or representative. And then they're going to be talking about a number of things. What are the goods or services they sell, the NAICS codes, the North American Industry Classification System codes. They're going to be talking about, for example, any existing business certifications the business may have. For example, they might have an SBA or Small Business Administration certification. It could range from an 8A certification, a historically underutilized business zone certification. It could be, for example, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification.
Oh, there's so many.
or even women-owned small business certification. And there are even more than that. And there's also interest in businesses wanting to know about those types of certifications if they don't have them already. And even, for example, what are the advantages of having these federal certifications? And let's not forget there's even state-related certifications and local government-related certifications. One that I just want to quickly tout by the state of Nevada and the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I just want to put, give a shout out to the Emerging Small Business Program, or ESB program, that actually is run by the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Because what I love about that program is I've seen the number of Nevada businesses obtain that certification and then actually be listed on a publicly facing website. And I've heard a number of agencies within Nevada and even prime contractors actually will look at this publicly facing, directory of ESB certified small businesses, and they've actually been able to obtain business from agencies that are actually looking to source to Nevada businesses. And so that's just like one of the things that businesses might be able to learn from the APEX Accelerator.
Yeah. See, that's fantastic. People just don't think about that, or they don't know how to get there.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. And I love what I'd read, that Socrates quote that you don't know what you don't know.
It's true. Yeah.
Right?
I touched upon earlier about the benefits of competing and being awarded a government contract. Please tell our audience about this program and the benefits of doing this from your experience.
Yeah, so since I was hired in as the director of the then PTAC, now Nevada APEX Accelerator, I've talked to a number of businesses since 2016, and I'll never forget, for example, the number of businesses who told me that if it wasn't for their government contracts and our subcontracts, they might not have survived the Great Recession because of their being only reliant and putting all their business eggs in one basket, say the private sector, and relying on those contracts. Well, when that area had dried up, they said they did diversify and look to government contracting. And it actually helped to sustain them as they won those contracts during the Great Recession. We heard the same thing with regard to the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
A number of businesses said they were able to thankfully diversify, not just be reliant on the private sector, but also the public sector to sustain their companies. We have small businesses that have rent to pay, utilities to pay, they have the payroll, and they could not, if it wasn't, again, for their government contracts at the local, state, federal level, they might not have even been able to pay their employees and team members.
That's awesome. See, I said earlier, government never goes out of business.
And we have to remember that typically, and I will say this, during the height of COVID, we did see the federal government spend over $600 billion. That is not counting, and I want to say those are the contracts. Those are not counting P card purchases or purchases that are actually bought on government credit card.
Okay.
Again, that, let's just say 600 billion does not count that. And it doesn't even count those very sensitive, for example, classified contracts that the layperson or public wouldn't know about because of national security purposes.
Sure.
So typically the government actually will spend, I want to say, in the trillions.
Wow.
But in the government contracting world, it's typically, I want to say, roughly over 600 billion that we can see in publicly available records.
Business owners, you want part of that. Definitely.
You do. And that, we got to remember, Sonny, that is only at the federal level. That is not even counting the SLED market. SLED, SLED, the state, local, and education, K through 16
There you
market.
go.
So.
Wow. Okay. Now, what type of industry typically enters the program or does businesses with government? Is it limited? I know you touched on it a little bit.
Right.
Is it limited, or few, or is there a wide range?
It's an absolute wide range because, as we talked earlier, the business can buy anything as small as paper clips, office supplies, services to include janitorial. It could even be, I've even seen professionals provide nursing, home health.
Okay.
We have to remember, the VA Veterans Affairs, they actually do a number of, they will award contracts to outsource, services they need help with. And then even we got to remember there's even a state-related home for the elderly.
Okay.
Even here, I want to say in the Boulder City area.
Boulder
So
City.
this is just a sampling of, for example, just government, related agencies that actually buy. But again, it's a wide range that they buy, and really it's from any industry.
So, small business out there, if you're wondering, find out. You got to call Joan. So, what does a typical process look like? How long does it normally take for a business to start the process of competing and getting awarded an actual contract?
Yeah, so I would say this with regard to the process. I would advise companies, especially the small businesses, to look up the Nevada APEX Accelerator services first. Please, complete the client questionnaire form.
Okay.
And then once they do that, they actually have to follow the instructions on the second page of the form for submission. And then typically it can take up to, for example, just 10 business days for processing, because we answer all the requests in the order that we receive them. And then you could go into a new client orientation, meet your advisor, where you will actually have the ability to talk about, where you're thinking about selling, and then the advisor can come in and kind of be that sounding board, but hopefully provide even more targets in terms of local, state, federal agencies, private contractors that want to buy your goods and services. But what I love about that process, again, they're talking about business certifications that the company might want to consider. Because what I love about, for example, let's just hit the federal level, the fact that they have a number of certification programs. The 8A, basically a small business development program. You've got the women-owned small business program and certification. You've got the veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned small business that related certification. And then you actually have the hub zone, the historically underutilized business zone certifications. What I love about these SBA certifications, especially at the federal level, when it comes to federal government contracting, federal government agencies actually have targets or percentage of, for example, their goals. Whether it's NASA, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, and all the agencies, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, and so on. I mean, these variety of agencies have goals, percentage goals, about how they want to award to the service-disabled veteran small businesses, the women-owned small businesses, the 8As, and the hub zones. And what I love about it is sometimes if they're aware of, for example, at least 2 businesses with a certain certification, a federal government agency can actually set aside the competition of that requirement, whatever good or service it is, to, for example, say a segment of the population of those businesses. So they could actually set aside, for example, a requirement. Say it could be for engineering services. If they know that there's maybe at least 2 businesses or women-owned small businesses that could provide, this actual service, they can set aside that procurement, that purchase, just to women-owned small businesses. What the federal government has done by doing that, they've actually made the competition pool smaller and constricted it, making the chances for a woman-owned small business to actually have a better chance and likelihood of winning and being awarded that contract. And so that woman-owned small business is not, for example, competing with large businesses.
I like that.
So
give them a good chance at least. Yeah,
for sure.
Now, for businesses that would like to explore this opportunity, and you've touched on this a little bit as well, who can they connect with and how can they join or be part of the Nevada APEX Accelerator? I guess it's through the website would be the best? Or?
Yeah, so first I would advise the small businesses in this state to please check out the website. What I love about the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development's website is, yes, you're going to see the Nevada APEX Accelerator page, but you're going to see a number of small business resources aside from the APEX Accelerator. Before I talk more about the APEX Accelerator, I want to make sure our communities throughout Nevada know about the state small business credit initiative, or SSBCI program.
There you go.
Because the number of funding opportunities that are out there for businesses, and there's even investment. So there's actually funding and investment opportunities that are actually on the SSBCI website. That's part of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. And switching back to the Nevada APEX Accelerator, again, having those businesses, please check out our website. You'll actually read, there's actually a video clip from our federal funder. So the federal funder that provides money to the Nevada APEX Accelerator in order to match state dollars actually is the U.S. Department of Defense. And so the Department of Defense, being the federal funder, you will see by watching the video, it is critical that businesses, but especially small businesses, succeed. Without a business community, especially our small businesses, it is a national security concern. A lot of people might not think about that, but just think if our industries in each state were to be decimated, we would have a national security concern. Because, for example, when we think of those who provide goods and services, say to your large government prime contractors, off the top of the head, we think of Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, a number of them. What happens if they didn't have their suppliers at every level? Who would actually provide the goods and services to them? And then, for example, how could those prime contractors even service their clients, those federal government agencies? Again, your NASA's, Department of Defense, every service branch, Department of Energy, the list goes on. So they really are emphasizing that businesses make sure that they're pairing up with their respective APEX accelerators in their states, so that we can actually help with the government contracting journey, because for some it could be very long, but we want to make sure that we're there, lockstep with the business.
That is fantastic. See, this is amazing because, like I said, it's a topic that not everybody knows.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that the Nevada APEX Accelerator, then PTAC, has actually been around since the 1980s in Nevada. I was just at a meeting with a number of small business resource partners last week that actually said, the Nevada APEX Accelerator, former PTAC, is Nevada's best kept secret. And I really took that to heart, but I want to make sure and emphasize that we're getting more awareness about the program out there. And that's why I'm so happy you invited me here, Sonny, to talk to especially the Asian American Pacific Islander community.
Actually, I want to ask you that. You've been in this industry for a long time now.
Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of Asian Americans coming through this program?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have not. I have seen a wide variety, I would just say, of ethnic backgrounds. Of the business owners that are actually tapping into and using our resources, which is awesome. But I'd love to see more Asian American Pacific Islander, business owners really thinking about and considering the program.
Yeah.
And so I do a number of outreach events, and then I do see just, who's coming into the office, whether they're scheduled meetings with their advisors in the office or walk-ins. Like I said, it's almost like a challenge that I have today on today's show, that I would love to see more Asian American Pacific Islander business owners really tapping into the program.
No, you and me both. And you know who else? David from the airport.
Yes.
We're so frustrated sometimes when we talk because he goes, Sonny, here I am. I've been helping so many. I'm Filipino and I'm not seeing a lot of Asians coming in. Yeah.
And it's so great that with you, Sonny, being Filipino, myself being, Filipina, and then David being Filipino, the fact is it's nice that we know, about the respective programs that are out there, but trying to broadcast the awareness. I mean, that's why I was going to say I'm just so grateful for this opportunity.
Of course, no problem.
Sonny, to get the word out.
But what would you be your best advice for small businesses that are thinking about this, or at least finding out now, hey, maybe I should look into this?
Yeah, so my best advice would be to just make sure, while business owners are working inside their business, a lot of times they might not know what's going outside their business. The number of networking opportunities. For example, there's going to be the Nevada Small Business Fair, a resource fair that's coming up here in Las Vegas at the Sahara West Library. It's going to be led by the Department of Business and Industry. And I know one of the deputy directors at Business and Industry for the state, Marcel Scherer, was on the show in the past. And what I love about that is make sure business owners, to attend these events. What I love about them is not only the number of contacts, and prospective professional relationships you're going to, make, but you'll see this community of resource partners that are really dedicated to small business success. And that's what I love about this resource fair that's been going on annually.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, it's going to be quite exciting here at Sahara West Library because we will actually be having the governor, Governor Lombardo, actually be,
I was going
to say, the featured speaker at 10:30 on May 1st.
Is your team going to be there too?
Yes, so we're going to have a number of Nevada APEX Accelerator team members, and I can't say enough great things about the team. Again, so many of us have that government contracting background, and we're just here to kind of share, what the knowledge that we have, just having been, in procurement roles, and we've also been, even for myself, procurement and being on the selling side. Of contracting, so even selling to the agencies, but we really want to impart the knowledge, even impart the knowledge of points of contacts that we might have, knowing about the different procurement procedures that the different agencies have, because some don't even know, they do buy off government purchase cards, for lower dollar level procurements, and they might use purchase orders and then full-fledged contracts, just depending on the requirement. So it's just going to depend, but we want to share that knowledge with the small business owners, again, who've never maybe even considered thinking about selling, right?
I love it.
In the public sector. And It's so lucrative.
Yeah. Joan, thank you so much. That is our show for tonight. Unfortunately, it's a 30-minute show. We could go on and talk about this more, but
I really want to talk more.
yeah. But, well, everybody, please come and see Joan. She's going to be at the business fair. Her team's going to be there too. Or definitely check out the website. Joan, thank you again. Thank you for all of that knowledge, and we'll keep on working on it.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody, that is our show. Good night. Thank you again to Johan, our producer, and see you next week.